Hello, my name is George Nemi. I am the Juniper Solutions Specialist here at Bytespeed. Today we have two wonderful guest speakers. We have Gavin Lee from the Juniper E-Rate team, and we also have Matt Bartenhagen, who is the head at Williston School District. Gavin's going to kind of talk about what Juniper is doing in the E-Rate space, and then Matt's going to kind of walk through his process with E-Rate and everything. We will have time at the end for Q&A, so if you do have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to use the Q&A box at the bottom, and we'll be sure to address them at the end. All right, without further ado, I will hand it over to you, Mr. Gavin.
Thank you, George. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for attending today's webinar. Once again, my name is Gavin Lee. I am Juniper's K-12 Education Industry Practice Leader. And in the next few minutes, I'd like to share my thoughts about K-12 education, the role that district networks play in supporting instruction and learning, and what to look for in your district network of the future. So it is clear that school district networks are mission critical. As many of you know, these networks have to run 24/7. For educators, they're critical for delivering instruction. For students, networks enable them to learn and be educated on the materials that is being taught. These networks are also central to conducting online and state assessments because most student assessments today are taken this way. Online assessments demand solid and reliable connectivity. District networks are also central to your district's operations and to enabling situational awareness, important for student and campus safety. For school districts, the complexity and demands on the network brings many challenges. First, many school districts are experiencing budget and resource constraints. They have small teams that are running these networks. Many are operating very large networks, could be 10, 20, or 30 or more campus sites. Many of these networks are very complex to maintain and manage, built using architectures that are over 20 years old. Add to that the exponential growth of new devices that are hitting every school campus, including post-COVID devices that were set up for remote learning, now coming back on campus and overwhelming district networks infrastructure. Classrooms have become also high-density environments for connectivity from the concentration of district-provided devices, student-owned devices, and all the other Internet of Things devices as well. Also, as more newer devices are introduced into schools, they are bringing devices supporting the latest standards like Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E standards, which means that the networks that are being put in place today will have to be able to sustain and support these standards from this point forward for at least the next 5 years. Today's district network tools were designed focused on the health of the network as well. Network administrators had to deal with multiple dashboards, alarms, and alerts, requiring time-consuming manual troubleshooting to figure out what the problems there are, and many times not very proactive. As a result, many lack the visibility on whether an end user is having a good or a bad user experience. These networks also lack automation capabilities, making it difficult to streamline workflows and reduce the complexity of operations for IT staff. Finally, everyone is talking about AI as a great multiplier of capabilities to help ease and simplify operations. Unfortunately, today's dated school network architectures cannot leverage AI in this manner. The networking priorities and technology challenges were exposed in the most recent COSIN EdTech Leadership Survey. They surveyed 1,200 CTOs, Director of Technologies from districts across the country. In their 2023 top priorities, cybersecurity was number 1, network infrastructure was number 2. Top technology challenges ranked budget constraints and lack of resources first, and the inability to hire skilled staff as second. Is this what you're seeing at your school district? In our conversations with school districts, these are real issues. And what the last thing IT teams need is greater complexity. They need to transform IT by bringing complexity down in their workflows, to help free up work cycles as well as enable bringing in new talent. This same survey highlighted areas where critical IT functions are adequately staffed, understaffed, and in few areas overstaffed. Here you can see several important IT functions such as providing instructional support, remote support, integrating technology in classrooms, plan and implement new technologies. These are important strategic functions that obviously are being left behind because there aren't enough work cycles available. In this presentation, I like to make the case that there's a way for us to free up work cycles for the IT organization that can be redirected to address some of these understaffed areas. So as you all face the challenges of raising student achievement and academic outcomes, you have recognized the need to evolve your school district curriculum and instruction. Isn't it also time that your district networks evolve? Districts have the opportunity to now take advantage of the latest networking advances and new capabilities that we're going to be discussing in today's webinar. So on that note, I want to share with you our thoughts about what are the two foundational attributes of a future network. First, it may not be a surprise, it's artificial intelligence. AI is very pervasive in conversations, especially in the area of instruction and education. I submit that AI has an important role in networking. First, let me talk about AI ops. If you're not familiar with this term, AI ops is the use of artificial intelligence for IT operations, and it is the practice of using AI to augment the capabilities of your IT teams. So what are the benefits? So the benefits are IT teams can use AI ops to reduce operational expenses, reduce the need for staff time, and this translates to real cost savings. We have seen as much as 78% on your investment. This is what our customers are telling us. Also, I want to say that there is a myth that we want to debunk, and that's about AI not coming for people's jobs. It's quite the opposite. It's about moving away from being reactive firefighter, wasting valuable time troubleshooting, and getting back some time from your investment in your people to do important things that are not being done adequately today. The second foundational attribute is cloud services. A lot of today's network architectures are built with hardware appliances or controllers that are sitting inside your district's campuses. Here, they function as traffic cops to manage the traffic, but these platforms are very archaic in terms of their architecture. What we're submitting is that a modern cloud is fundamental to a future network, especially one that's built with modern microservices architecture. It brings agility to wired and wireless networks in the form of updates to features and patches and so forth on a regular basis. There's no need to wait 6 to 9 months, maybe a year, to update your platforms, a practice commonly experienced in controller-based architectures. It is because the network software is not built on a single monolithic cloud. Here, we just update functions or apply updates as needed, no downtime, and it can be applied as frequently as weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. What this gives you is scale and resiliency. It is a distributed architecture that allows you to grow, flex up and down, and provide the resiliency for increased reliability. This means you can eliminate the need for what we call brittle monolithic on-premises controllers and disparate purpose-built appliances, which are the source of tremendous complexity today. The final ingredient in all this is, how do you measure the success of your network? At Juniper Networks, we are passionate about establishing the satisfaction of the user experience as the way you measure success. For districts, it's all about student, educator, administrator, staff, and guest user experience of connecting to the network and making sure they are productive and obtain the connectivity they need to be successful. So what do we mean by supercharging instruction and learning with an AI-driven campus network? An AI-driven campus network brings you a network that is fastest to deploy, a network that has the fewest trouble tickets, and I'm talking about a reduction in the order of 80 to 90% reduction. A network that helps IT with the fastest mean time to repair, meaning that you can reduce the time to resolve issues 80 to 90% as well. And a network that provides the easiest operation and best user experience. Just one word about the fastest deployment. We have a customer, one of the top 3 out of the 4 largest companies in the world that has deployed our solution. They deployed 3,000 to 4,000 access points in one evening. And that's what we're talking about, fastest deployment. Now, that's not necessarily the same magnitude for school districts, but that is what we are talking about, fastest deployment. Juniper Networks is an industry's only provider of a complete AI-driven full solution stack. Our enterprise-grade full stack is driven by Mist AI, which includes wireless LAN, wired LAN, network access and control, and SD-WAN solutions managed over a single pane of glass. But the single pane of glass is not the magic. The magic is how Mist AI-driven capabilities flow across these domains. With that, one uses Mist AI and Marvis, our virtual network assistant, to provide the insights you need to understand the user experience at any moment, to deliver proactive AI-driven operations and support, and to drive capabilities that are not possible with today's traditional architectures. So how have school districts benefited? I would like to share with you some examples of our school district customers who have deployed our Mist AI-driven campus. First, on this slide, we have Newport News Public Schools, a school district in Virginia with 27,000 students. Their prior wireless network couldn't keep up with the growing number of devices connecting on campus. They made the move to a Juniper Mist AI-driven campus network to support digital learning and to flawlessly support state-mandated assessments. By making the move, they gained a 10 times improvement in wireless coverage, and during state assessment testing, they saw 0 network tickets. The district also used their Marvis virtual network assistant and AI to quickly troubleshoot and help solve or proactively solve problems for their users. Our next customer is the Consolidated High School District 230. With 7,800 students, this suburban Chicago district had a network that couldn't keep up with the heavy use of video, cloud applications, and large counts of connected mobile devices supporting experiential learning. Previously, they spent too much time supporting classroom connectivity, and when Mist AI was adopted, the IT team automated key tasks and proactively addressed networking issues before they impacted students, teachers, or staff experiences. Mist AI freed up the IT team to focus on strategic ways to use technology to further improve the quality of learning and student success. As quoted by their CTO, John Connolly, with any new solution, you can run into problems. As a CTO, I wanted escalations to resolve issues quickly. I have found that to be our experience working with Juniper. Our next district is Long Beach Unified School District, the 4th largest in California with over 103 locations and 65,000 students. Previously, they were finding their network experiences very frustrating to their users. They had an environment that was built with wireless controllers and a network that was previously adequately handled digital learning. But after the pandemic, a lot of students and their devices came back, many of them Chromebooks that quickly overwhelmed their network, straining digital learning. To address these challenges, they selected and rolled out a Juniper Mist AI-driven wireless network. An interesting accomplishment was how quickly they replaced the old and deployed the Mist AI wireless network solution. 5,400 access points had to be deployed less than 10 weeks to fit the only window they had before the academic year started. And they accomplished it and faster than anyone expected. To quote Matt Woods, their executive director, our help desk had zero network visibility before. Now Marvis is our front line. We can address nebulous complaints like it's slow, unreliable, or having problems. These kinds of issues are really difficult to troubleshoot in conventional ways, but with a MISS AI-driven campus network, we can look at the device, an application, and the network and quickly solve the problem. Our last district example is Capel Independent School District, a district located in the suburbs of Dallas with 13,000 students. Consistently excellent Wi-Fi is central in supporting their rigorous digital curriculum, but their previous wireless network could not keep up, nor provide the network engineers the visibility and insights they needed to troubleshoot and resolve issues. Troubleshooting was so difficult that they had to resort to basically swapping out bad with good access points to try to fix a problem, only to have the problems reoccur. They were always chasing IT ghosts in the wireless. To address the issues, they adopted the Juniper MISS AI-driven wireless network. Now they have the visibility they need to troubleshoot users and network issues. In fact, in a short time, they have seen greater than 50% reduction in the user open support tickets and now deliver exceptional Wi-Fi experiences. So as my closing thoughts to this audience, as school district leaders, what are your must-haves for the future-proof K-12 network? We strongly advocate that these networks must have three important attributes. Number one, it must be built on a modern cloud architecture. And I'm talking about a modern microservices cloud where you can take advantage of the firmware updates on a regular basis with no downtime. It should also be 100% programmable and API driven. Number two, it should support AI operations and support. This is key to simplifying IT tasks, dramatically reducing troubleshooting times, and reducing the mean time to repair. This covers the client devices right up to the cloud, offering root cause analysis, and when a problem occurs, to be able to dynamically capture a packet of the trouble at that instance. Gone are the days where you had to go back and try to recreate a problem that may have occurred a week ago, only to see that the problem has gone away. And number three, finally, your network solution has to deliver the best user experience possible. And you do this by having the capability to measure on every device the 150 pre and post connection states every minute. This way, you will know at any moment what the satisfaction of that user is. A network of the future must focus on the user experience. It is no longer acceptable for networks with network tools that only focus on the health of the network. I hope what I shared and the stories of our 4 customers resonate with you. In addition to our K-12 customers, Juniper has a growing number of higher education, government, healthcare, retail, and enterprise customers moving to Juniper MISS AI. This recognition has also been noticed by industry analysts. For additional reading, I'd like to leave you a copy of the latest Gartner Magic Quadrant report for wired and wireless LAN access infrastructure. In this report, Gartner analyzed the major industry players and graded them on the ability to execute and the completeness of their vision. And for the second consecutive year, they named Juniper Networks as the top score leader for execution and vision. As you do your planning research for your next network project, feel free to access this complimentary copy of this report by scanning the QR code. So on that note, on behalf of Juniper Networks, thank you for your time. We would greatly honor to have an opportunity to meet with you to see how we can help you with your upcoming network project. So I'd like to now turn the floor back over to George, our friends at Bytespeed.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gavin. A lot of excellent information in there for everybody. Again, we do have the Q&A section. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to use that. And I will go ahead and pass this over to Matt Barton-Hagen from the Williston team. It'll just be 1 second while I share my screen there. And Matt, you should be good to go. Oh, did it come up?
I'm not seeing your screen yet.
I apologize. Probably help if I hit the share button. Sorry about that.
No worries. Yeah, so I'm Matt Barton-Hagen. I am the CTO here at Williston Basin School District number 7. We recently merged with a nearby district and had some interesting issues there. We're about 5,500 students. I think the next slide has some of this on it. Sure. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, between 5,000 and 6,000. We're in a very transient area, so our enrollment fluctuates a lot, and we have a lot of remote issues, a lot of distance learning. It says 11 campuses. I'm fortunate to have 19 people on my team. That sounds like a lot. I'm sure a lot of you are like, wow, what do you do with that many people? That does include our sys data team, obviously the help desk, and I'm fortunate to have an install team so that some of these things you don't have to worry about finding integrators in our area. So why am I here? Like I said, we had merged with a nearby district that had some beyond end of life equipment for their networking. They were running at 100 meg tops. The rest of the district was at 10 gig in between buildings. It was what I would call prosumer without naming names. Actually had some access points catch fire. We'd pull them down and the back of it was all charred and the ceiling was charred. So we were fortunate that nothing more serious than that happened, but it was time. Yeah, just due to the age, due to the style, we had some issues. Even finding out what was happening, why was it doing that? Was it power? Yeah, so we've had good experiences with Lightspeed. I have a lot of their hardware. I'm sitting in a chair that I got from Lightspeed, down to that level. And so my network manager got a proof of concept switch from Juniper to try out. And you know how you always get that sales pitch that's like, hey, this is a great thing, you know, the song and dance, and it looks great on the sales pitch, but then you get it in and it's not the same. This was the same. All the things that they said it could do, it could actually do, which is huge. You know, as Gavin mentioned, huge decrease in, hey, Wi-Fi doesn't work, or sometimes it's a problem. That whole thing of being able to drill down to the user. You know, we found one where the user had the wrong password saved on their phone, trying to log into their email, and so it was locking them out. And they'd go to log into a device, and it would say you're locked out. Never would have found that in the 5 minutes that it took us with Marvis. And then, yeah, more of the IT staff can see. It's click, 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 and you can see by the room, by the device, what's going on without having to have CLI experience, without having to have that super admin powers, which is just really nice for that team. In testing, we've had state testing. We have some just standard diagnostics that we do within the district and ACT all at the same time. And yeah, we had a few issues at the buildings that don't have missed, but at the ones that do, we never even know it. Which, for those of you that do online standardized testing, that never happens. So E-rate. Being the size of the district that we are, I'm in my 3rd year as a CTO. I'm still kind of getting my arms around some of these things. We use a consultant to do our E-rate filings, and it is worth every penny to have somebody who files that for you. It's kind of like using H&R Block for your taxes. If something gets wonky, if there's some paperwork missing, it's like, oh, hey, call them, and they can sort it out. I'm fortunate to have a really great one. We did demo a lot of different things. We ended up naming Juniper on our 470. You do have to say or equivalent, or hitting these features, but you name things that only Mist does. And then they say you have a bid matrix. In our case, experience with the vendor. We had good experiences with byte speed and how close it is to what's on the 470. Now, even though I said or equivalent, I can say that, well, Juniper is exactly what's on the 470, so that's the closest you're going to get. So yeah, like I said, we tried Meraki, we tried Mist, we did several different things. And just you kind of decide for yourself what matters. For us, I've got 11 buildings, 5,500 students, about 1,000 staff, and one network guy at the moment. So the most information in the most useful way is huge, and nobody does it anywhere close to what Mist does. You start with your general RFP. This is the building I want to do. This is how many ports I need. And then you kind of start building it out from there. One thing that I did was creating an E-rate email box, and just a group box with nobody in it. And that way you can tell when you submit your RFP, people can submit it via email to that box. Nobody can see it. You can't open the bids until after it's closed. And that just makes it easier for everybody. They can submit it electronically. You can look at it electronically. No paper to get lost, no paper to get shuffled, those kinds of things. So yeah, and then you pick a winner. And in our case, it was Mist. So thanks a lot. That's all I got for today. George?
Awesome. I appreciate that, Matt. One thing I just wanted to touch on, I know you had briefly mentioned you have the members on your staff and everything, but just the one network person. So we do see that quite a bit, and it makes a difference having Mist and Marvis on your team, as I'm sure it has for you, Matt.
Absolutely. I have several, my 4 buildings now that have Mist. I have team members that are kind of the main support to those, and all of them have access to Mist. And even including like cable testing, that the Juniper switching has cable testing built in. If something starts acting funky, if phone doesn't get on, those kinds of things, you can pull it up and say, oh, hey, well, that jack is shot. That's not a thing anywhere else.
Right. And I know in some of the troubleshooting we've done just the features for running through everything and easily determining, as Gavin said earlier, it's so easy to kind of click through and see, okay, this is exactly what's happening as a snapshot of my network, and it'll let me get more granular and figure out exactly what's causing it.
Absolutely. And even with our installs, we had a few hiccups here and there, but like you say, the ability to just pull it up and say, oh, that's what it is. Rather than just having to guess and go through the steps.
Makes life a little bit easier.
Definitely.
Well, we're glad to hear that's all working out for you, Matt. Now, I know we do have a lot of people on this call today who are very well versed in E-rate and everything that goes around with it, but I did just want to go over some of the basics really quick, run through it just to make sure everybody's on the same page. So, as I stated earlier, my name is George Nemi. I am the Juniper Solutions Specialist here at Bytespeed, and we are in the season of E-rate. 'Tis the season, as I like to say. So USAC posts a notice that Form 470s are open. This is generally 12 months before the start of the funding year. Usually we see this fall into the July timeframe somewhere. USAC does require that you keep the bidding window open for at least 28 days. You are able to extend that to a point, but they require 28 days to make sure it is an open and fair bidding process. Once you have selected a winning bid, USAC will send a receipt acknowledgement letter to both you and the service provider or providers that you have selected. You must name a 471 winner before the close of the application filing window. We usually see this in late March as well. And then once you have all that done, you're able to submit either bear or SPI invoicing. We want to reiterate to make sure that the service provider invoice clearly reflects what's on your 471. Who can apply? All K-12 schools that are nonprofit and have not received an endowment exceeding $50 million are able to apply for E-rate funding, as well as public libraries that have a separate budget from any schools and must be a nonprofit business as well. And some of the best practices in the coordinators we talk to, they're all saying now that the best practice to do is apply for all 3 subcategories of category 2. This would include internal connections, usually hardware, basic maintenance of internal connections, usually the software support for that hardware, and then manage internal broadband services, which covers a wide scope of things, some of which can be managed services, sort of pre-config, those sort of things. Excuse me. They are also recommending that you use bulk upload templates. This just makes it easier on the person reviewing your 471, going through and simplifying that process. And we also recommend connecting with an E-rate coordinator for your state. I will be sending out our E-rate guide that we've put together, and we do have a link in there for the different coordinators for each state. Once again, we highly recommend this, as coordinators are, again, simplifying the process, making it easier on you. We all know you have a lot going on. That's why we partnered with Juniper Mist to make it easier on your teams to simplify your network, and we're just trying to simplify the process of getting your network for you. I wanted to thank everyone. I will be opening up to Q&A here. I can do a brief demo of the Mist UI if we do not have any questions, and then here's my contact information as well. Go ahead and stop sharing that screen for a moment. Looks like we do have one question. Bytespeed can make recommendations on appropriate switch and Wi-Fi environment for someone trying to develop an RFP, correct? We cannot directly help you write an RFP if we're going to bid on 470, but we can definitely show you demos and work with you on what works best in your network. You know, are you wanting to move to the cloud microservices? As Gavin mentioned, a lot of networks are moving in that direction. We're happy to send you POC gear through Juniper and make sure you're getting the best experience that you can.
George, let me add to that. Yes, E-rate rules prohibit vendors from helping you write your Form 470 and RFP here, but there's a period before that where you can gather information so that you can be informed of all the possible solutions and for that. Bytespeed is in a perfect position to, you know, have a meeting with you. If you need a demonstration, if you want to kick the tires, these are all things that could be done before you issue your Form 470. But absolutely, so we can help you there.
Thank you, Gavin. So I think I will do a brief demonstration of the Mist UI here. That was that same screen. Gosh, this screen sharing not going good for me today. And is that the demo screen up? Oops.
Yeah, we see it.
Perfect. So this right here is Juniper's live demo environment. Basically, they have demo gear on site at the main office that we're able to log into and kind of show you a rundown of what's going on in the network. This would be the main page you would get to once you log into the Mist UI. It's referred to as the SLE page or service level expectations page. Right here, you can see we're on wireless for site live demo, and that is for today. You can go back to yesterday. You can do the full week or a custom range. To get some more data in here, we will do the full week. And in here, you can see they break down the 7 main things that they have determined can cause your Wi-Fi to not work at its optimal efficiency. You know, we all have seen that ticket come through that says, hey, the Wi-Fi sucks, and that's all the information you got. We wanted to give you weapons so you can come in here and be like, why does the Wi-Fi suck? Is it a time to connect issue? Is it a successful connect issue? Right here, you can see time to connect. They're having a 74% success rate. So that means 24% of the time, or 26% of the time, excuse me, it's not working correctly. And then as you go over to the right here, you can see that 79% of the time it is not working correctly. It is an association error. Again, here for successful connects, same thing. 5% of the time it's not working, and 68% of the time that's because of DHCP. So what happens if we click into DHCP? Now we can see that we're in the subcategory of successful connects, DHCP, and then its subclassifiers, and discover unresponsive appears to be causing that issue. So once again, we click into it. It's, again, taking a big look at your network, seeing what's wrong with the network, and then being able to get you down to the granular level to figure out how can we fix the network. In here, you can see statistics on the issues you're seeing, a specific break of the timeline. Down here, you can see changes to your network. So was it a configuration change? Was it a change of a channel that messed everything up? You're able to see it on this level, as well as you can see distribution. Is it specific access point, as it appears to be in this example here, that is doing 90%, 98% of the issues? Is it one of your SSIDs or WLANs as they're called in MIST? Is it a specific band? And then also affected items. Is there one user who just keeps putting their password in incorrectly? We want to make it easy for you to get directly to the issue that you're seeing. Another nice part of this is right up here, the View Insights. If you click on that, it'll bring you to the Insights page. Again, we're still in the SLEs. We've just moved over from wireless to Insights. And in here, if you scroll down, it has a breakdown of all the client events it's seen in that same time period that we specified. And if you click on just the bad ones here, you'll see over on the left here, it'll be all these red markers that indicates a bad event on your network. And if we scroll down a little bit, I'm not sure if we'll get one for DHCP. I can go 1 second here, go back to wireless. Let's go to authorization, and again, back to insights. And now if we go to the bad events, we should get some. What I'm looking for here is there's a little paperclip icon. And basically what that shows you is that it's done an automatic packet capture. I have managed to click on the same thing, so I'm not getting that paperclip icon, but just note that in the background, if MIST or Marvis detect a client event that would require a packet capture, it will do an automatic packet capture for you. In that sense, you're then able to use Wireshark or any of those sort of packet declassifiers that you can get to look through it and see what's going on with your network. Again, they do this for wired as well. So for their switching and access point lines, with the switching, we only have the 3 classifiers. Anybody who's worked with networking knows a switch is a switch is a switch. Is it passing data? Is it not? So there aren't quite as many qualifiers to is it running correctly or isn't it? And then they also have added their SRX line. So that is the WAN edge health you see here. Again, not too many qualifiers to it. There's not too many things that interfere with wired networks as compared to wireless networks. And then I also want to show you, if you click over here on access points, you can see really quickly all of your access points. Are they connected? If they're having any sort of issue, it'll give you a no IP address. And then another part in here that's cool is if you just click on this, you get the blink codes. All Juniper APs come with an LED on the front that will give you a blink code if it's experiencing an error. You don't have to go scrolling the internet for like beep codes on desktops or other sort of codes that devices can give out. They put it right here on the dashboard, so you're able to access it from there. And again, you can do the same with your switches. Another cool part is if you have a MIST or a Juniper MIST AP, connected to a non-Juniper switch, you will get some general information on the switch. That would be these gray ones here, specifically this one. You won't get a ton of information, but it will pull the name of the switch, give you some general LLDP information and things of that nature. And then as far as setting up the network, it's a lot of template based. So if you go in here, you go into wired switch configuration, you can set up templates. So then everything at your site, if you're a school with specific configurations for a middle school versus an elementary school, you can set up 2 different sites that way. Or if you have individual sites that all need to be managed differently, you can set up templates for all of them as well. Makes it very easy for if you need to implement a new switch or AP in a site, you simply plug it in, it pulls that site template, and then you can go in and make any individual changes you need to that device. The last thing here is Marvis. There's normally an actions view here, also called the cup of coffee view. I can actually pull it up in our demo environment here really quick. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of issues on our environment here, so there aren't any actions, but the nice part is in the background here, like layer 1, it's constantly running bad cable tests in the background. And if you click into this and it's detected a bad cable, it'll have the action here. You click into it, see exactly what port that cable's on, what it's running to, and then you're able to go address it right away. As a former help desk employee, if I would have had something that told me the 8 things I'm going to be called about that day that I need to resolve right away in the morning, would have made my job a whole heck of a lot easier. So this is super awesome for me. And then the query language that Marvis has is troubleshoot. And then we want to troubleshoot client. And Denali is usually up to no good on here. And you simply do that. And it'll bring up any issues it's seeing with Denali and also give you ideas on how to troubleshoot that. So you can see here top 3 things: time to connect's bad, capacity is bad. You simply click investigate, and now it's giving you the service levels, classifiers, events, updates, all the things that it would kind of ask you to go to. Again, there's normally a little icon down here in the right, which I can show you on ours. This Marvis icon, it's more of like an instant messaging way of troubleshooting. So you can go show me unhappy clients. Again, unfortunately, we don't have any unhappy clients on our demo network here, but if you were having them, it would give you a list of the top 3 clients that are seeing issues, and then you can click through, ask it to troubleshoot it for you, ask it for event changes. It can even trace route the clients all the way through any Juniper devices in your network. So a lot of great features in here. If you're interested in seeing more, I would love to set up a one-on-one consult to go more into how it could specifically benefit your network. I will go ahead and stop sharing. It looks like we do have another question here. Oh, sorry, answer live. Forgot to mark that one. And I don't think we have any more questions. That was about all I had. Gavin Lee, was there anything else you wanted to mention on the way out here?
Yeah, I'd like to just maybe provide these notes here. So, we've been focused around making life easy for E-rate applicants, not only in the deploying of the solutions, but also how to specify kind of the E-rate eligible components here. So, most of these solutions that districts purchase, we would have specially created E-rate bundles that include the access point, hardware, and the licenses that you need. You can consume it as a 1, 3, or 5 year terms. For the switches, you would have the switch hardware and then the switch license. The license would include, the MIS software, any switch feature software, and support. So it's all bundled. You would apply for this funding under internal connections because you're dealing with switches or APs and their associated licenses. So makes it nice and easy and easy to deploy as we discussed during this call here. So if there's any questions you have about E-rate eligibility, we also have a full lookup table here to help you kind of make sure you've got the exact E-rate eligibility so that you can maximize your E-rate funding for your project as well.
For sure. No, that's a great point, Gavin. I think everybody's realized these people reviewing these Form 471s and everything want everything to be structured in a certain way. So I know Juniper has made a conscious effort to make it easier on those folks so that it's easier for the process to go through. And I really appreciate all the work you've been doing on the back end to make that a more simplified process. I know in talking to the coordinators, like I said before, it makes a heck of a difference once it's simpler to break it down that way, as opposed to a bunch of different SKUs and figuring out the eligibility for each of them individually.
Exactly. And as we're kind of going into the funding year 2024 period, which starts July 1st, 2024, just remind everyone that for category 2, you have a 5-year pre-discount budget that's been allocated to you based on the number of students in your district here. And that budget runs from funding year 21 to 2025. So essentially, if you haven't tapped into any of that, you have 2 funding years to kind of draw from that. So just one reminder that, look at your budget and also know that you've got 2 funding years in that window remaining at this point.
For sure. Awesome. Well, I wanted to thank everyone again for joining us today. If once the session ends, you realize you did have a question, I will be reaching out after this, so feel free to throw it in a response back to me, and I will be happy to assist you. One last time, thank you, everybody, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.